So my email's up there, and I invite anyone to, reach out if they have further questions. But thank you very much for having me, and I really appreciate the opportunity to present to you today. So thank you.
Thanks, Sharon.
The handouts in your folders.
All right, up next is Dave Benjamin. As a co-founder and executive director of the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project, Dave Benjamin has organized and promoted more than 300 Great Lakes water safety presentations in 7 of the 8 Great Lakes states. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. He has presented Breaking the Vicious Cycle of the Drowning Epidemic with a National Water Safety School Curriculum at the National Drowning Prevention Alliance Conference in Mesa, Arizona, as a breakout session at the Great Lakes Water Safety Consortium Conference in Cleveland, Ohio, and in Grand Haven, Michigan. Since Dave began as Executive Director of Public Relations, the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project has received more than 300 media mentions in the Great Lakes region. In 2016, Dave won the Because I Said I Would Supporter of the Year Award, which you can find that video on YouTube. The Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project won the 2016 NDPA Community Lifesaver Award, and the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project's co-founder Bob Pratt won the 2012 NDPA Lifesaver of the Year Award. Dave, it's all yours.
Thanks, Ed. The intros are always longer than my presentations. Just kidding. So my presentation may be a little abstract. It's something that I have witnessed, experienced through my 6 years working with Bob Pratt and the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project, and I call it Compassionately Addressing the Stigma of Drowning is the title of the presentation. You guys are cheating me, man. So I can see my upcoming slides. So I just want to give a quick disclaimer. I'm going to read it verbatim. The presentation is based on my experiences and opinions, and I'm open to constructive criticism, discovery, exploration, debate. I'm not saying that what I'm about to present is an absolute fact or truth. I'm just asking, just consider what I'm saying and consider how it could be an obstruction to messaging for our target audience. So, I'm here today because I said I'd be here today, and I'm standing in front of you. I'm here today because I survived a drowning accident while surfing in Lake Michigan. And it was after that accident that I dedicated my life to water safety and the dream of creating a water safety school curriculum. Okay. Because I Said I Would is another nonprofit organization that we went to one of their conferences, and they had booths where you could record your story, and they created a very nice video about my drowning accident as well as the need for a water safety school curriculum. John and Kathy Koch were also at that same conference and recorded their own video, and so I'll give the information how to find those at the end of the presentation, but I really highly recommend that everyone should watch these videos. We have high school students watch them before we do our presentations or sometimes during our presentations. So after my drowning accident, did a lot of social networking. Bob and I met online, one of those successful relationships.
And we're still together.
And we're still together. I make him sleep in the truck though. I'm not kidding. No. Long story. But he says I snore. I just found this out today. But anyhow, so the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project, we have 4 main areas where we work. We track the drownings in the Great Lakes. We teach Great Lakes water safety. We work with family and friends to advocate water safety. And we do open water surf lifeguard training and first responder water rescue, water resuscitation training. Okay. But today my presentation is compassionately addressing the stigma of drowning. And what is that, the stigma of drowning? Some people may have heard it, may be brand new. So the basic definition of stigma, a mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or person. Okay? So what we have been calling the stigma of drowning, something that we've kind of seen across the board on many levels, is that when a drowning happens, there's a public perception, this public point of view, to blame the victim, blame the parents or caregivers, or blame it on Darwinism. Okay? It gives a false sense of security to those who haven't drowned, blaming the victim, the shame game. But this is compassionately addressing the stigma of drowning, because I really think it's going to take something of us to get the public past this, because they don't know that they're doing it. So why compassionately? Because compassion breeds compassion. The stigma is a two-way street. So if somebody dies drowning, and somebody's blaming the victim or blaming the parents, and we get a reaction out of it, we're blaming that person for blaming the parents or blaming the victim. You know, so we got to kind of like, you know, how do we work through this? How do we really make a difference? Because we can get in arguments online, but it's just an argument. It doesn't make a difference. The message gets lost because it's an argument about winning and losing the point. So we have to be the transformation for the water safety transformation to happen, for it to really come through. So this is crocodile. You guys compassionate about crocodiles? You're like, what is this got to do with this presentation? So, I call this make.match.com because this guy is Australian, and I hear they say made up there a lot. 18 years old. He's got a cast on his arm right there, but 18-year-old boy meets a young tourist, wants to impress her after drinking 10 cups of goon juice, which is, you know, wine from a box wine. We all know how, you know, fancy box wine is these days. And to be tough and show how tough he was, he jumped into a body of water inhabited with crocodiles, okay. Was immediately attacked, grabbed his arm, started thrashing it, compound fractures, bone sticking out of his arm, starts dragging him. You know, he's kicking, punching, finally gouged out, he let him go, and he's able to get out of the water. So what are we thinking about this guy? Do we have compassion for him? We could easily internet troll him. And really, it's hard for us. You guys are like, yeah, I'm not buying your story. But we could easily internet troll him. We could, you know, put him down, saying he brought this on himself. This alligator or crocodile attacked him. But how do we prevent this in the future? How do we make a difference with this kid? So we're going to have to kind of put our personal opinion about it aside, and hey, we got to get this guy an intervention because he may have some drinking problems that you may want to have him address. Weird sidebar, he got the date with the girl out of the hospital. So I mean, in a weird sense, it paid off for him.
Positive reinforcement.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Has to be
We
the
gotta talk
one.
to the ladies.
So this is the thing, is that we all participate in the stigma, in stigmatizing things, in stereotypes. It's just something we got to get present to. And if we really want to make a difference in drowning, I believe that we have to understand the stigma of drowning so we can get beyond it. Many people may know Harambe, silverback gorilla, lived in a zoo. A young boy got through the gate, fell into the enclosure. Unfortunately, a zookeeper who worked with them for 20-some years had to put Harambe down. Okay. It's tragic. It could have been prevented. The point that I bring it up and bring it here is we can kind of all see, like, you know, it went internet, it went viral. Everybody's blaming the parents. I've got a 7-year-old boy who's in gymnastics, climbs all over everything. I'm so glad I wasn't at the zoo that day because it could have been him. It really could have. But the internet's going to buzz blaming the parents. They're blaming the zoo. They're blaming the zookeeper who shot him because now all of a sudden everybody is an expert on gorilla posturing. That gorilla wasn't going to hurt the boy. The gorilla was helping the boy. They shouldn't have done that. And unfortunately, it's just like this conversation that swirls around, and you know, it kind of, the message gets lost in the process. And I see it happen a lot with drowning. So, the stigma of drowning. Unfortunately, when a drowning happens, the public has a point of view to blame the victim, blame the parents or caregivers, or blame it on Darwinism. And the big impact of the stigma of drowning is that it can create a culture of a false sense of security. Okay? It can't happen to me. Only stupid people drown. Okay? You can't fix stupid. So if we can't fix stupid, why are we going to spend money on water safety programs? And it's unfortunate because I've seen this kind of across the board. I've seen this with public officials. I've seen this with first responders. I've seen it with even friends and families of drowning victims saying, yeah, he shouldn't have done that. You know, and kind of like having some blame and guilt. And if you don't know, you don't know, is one of the themes, the takeaways that comes from here. So people have this perception that drowning happens to other people until you become other people. I was other people. I know how to swim. I've been swimming in Lake Michigan my whole life. I was 39 years old when I had a drowning accident. It couldn't happen to me. I'm a surfer. Okay, but it did, and it does. And I had this false sense of security because I would unknowingly hear this stigma of drowning or witness it occur. The reality is that 2/3 of drowning victims are good swimmers. Oftentimes when I speak with parents or teachers or pitching school presentations, well, our kids know how to swim, we don't have to worry about it. It's like saying, I know how to run. How many people in here know how to run? Everyone? We meet in the parking lot. We're going to run a mile, 26.2 miles. You guys up for that? We know how to run, but we don't know how to run a marathon. Jamie didn't give us our marathon diet today. You know, he does got the shoes, maybe. I don't know. Working on it. But we need to get that. There's a disconnect. Sometimes people think that I know how to swim, I'm inoculated. I don't have to worry about it. And males account for 80% of all drowning deaths. Most people don't know that. So making sure that everyone knows how to survive and swim. Even in the water safety realm, national conferences, we see a disconnect between learn to swim programs, which get quite a bit of funding, and like what we do is, water safety, drowning survival, dry education, doesn't really get any funding. It's very, very, very limited. So, the impacts of the stigma of drowning is that it impacts funding, it impacts education, and it impacts reaching the target audience. Because like in the previous presentation, if we're going to be confrontational with our audience, they're not going to listen to us. We tell them, don't do that, they're going to do it. So we have to, how do we, wiggle around that to educate them on this? So we have to educate like other stigmas. So if I were to say to you, and this is all just a hypothetical, I have colon cancer. If I said that, I don't, but if I said that, you'd probably have some compassion for me. You wouldn't be asking me how I got colon cancer. But if I said I got lung cancer, what's your first question that pops in your head? Did I smoke? Okay, so we have to realize it's just stigmas are everywhere, stereotypes are everywhere. So we need to kind of to get our message across and really have the impact, we have to go beyond that. And the reality with lung cancer is that lung cancer will kill more Americans each year than prostate, breast, and colon cancer combined. So we have to work beyond the stigmas. So this is where it gets really, really tough because, things happen. I used to be a boxer. I wouldn't mind punching someone in the face sometimes when some of this stuff happens, especially when it comes to this extreme, because the stigma really does affect us all. So Melissa Zirkle won the 2015 Lifesaver of the Year Award. She also won the Great Lakes Water Safety Consortium Superhero of the Year Award last year. When it was announced that she was winning the NDPA Lifesaver of the Year Award, somebody with an internet troll website took her story, took her names, her son's name, the pictures, and they rewrote the story with blaming the victim, blaming the parents, blaming it on Darwinism, and the whole thing had a racist undertone to it. So she went through the worst day of her life. She worked so hard to advocate water safety. She's getting recognized for it. And that happens. And at the moment, she'd talk to me, and she'd talk to Kathy Coker. I don't know who else she talked to. And you have two options. We either don't give it any attention because it's going to go viral, or we do the full court press and see if we can get it shut down. And she's like, let's just let it go. And then it's off the internet now. John and Kathy Coker are here today. And they just got the 2017 NDPA Lifesaver of the Year Award last week. And unfortunately, days after their son died, someone created a fake Facebook memorial page. And we're inviting family and friends to, participate with the page. And then they went into the stigma of drowning. Now, these are the worst case scenarios that I've experienced. But we need to recognize that this really does hit home. I mean, it hits right here in this room in this organization. And what we really need to know and understand is like the mass majority of people out there don't know. I didn't know. I didn't know is one of the top things, and I've heard it several times today. I didn't know drowning is the leading cause of accidental death. I didn't know 80% of drowning victims are men. The simple information about water safety is not common sense. So those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it, so we need to tackle that now. So where do we start? Proactively and reactively. We're not building a rocket ship here. These are simple actions that should be natural. So we're going to take a little survey real quick. I know some people in the room have taken the survey a few times. Because with the big missing picture here is I don't know, and how do we tackle I don't know? So you guys all know the answers to these 3 questions. Just belt it out. What do you do when your clothes catch on fire?
Stop, drop, and roll.
What number do you call if there's an emergency?
911.
What do you do if you're drowning?
Let the local follow.
You guys are pretty good.
Yeah.
But when we go into schools, we could have 500 kids in the gym, and they'll all scream, stop, drop, and roll, and 911, and then, you know. They don't know drowning survival strategies. It's not common sense, and it's not common sense across the board. When we look at safety protocols today or programs in schools, there's fire drills, there's tornado drills. We just had a 1 p.m. statewide tornado drill here today. There's school shooter drills. There's even earthquake drills in Illinois and Indiana. Y'all remember how bad that last Illinois earthquake was, right?
Yeah.
Not in my lifetime. I mean, you know, get close to 50. I'm not opposed to earthquake drills, but if we can do earthquake drills, why can't we have this water safety? I mean, why is there a disconnect? And again, I just believe most people don't know. The teachers don't know. The administrators don't know. The government doesn't know. So where do we start? Proactively, water safety school curriculum. Everyone needs to be an advocate to have this in schools so that we can advocate, we can reach the target audiences, and also promote it through the media. So when we're in one school, the neighboring school says, the rival school says, wait, how come they're doing that there and we're not doing it here? So that there's now a demand for it. Okay? So a water safety school curriculum is the fastest approach to reach the largest audience, make a significant impact in the shortest amount of time. So, proactively with the school curriculum, and then we have to go back to being compassionate. Again, pitching school presentations on a calendar that's already filled with state tests and other days off, it's competitive. So we really have to pitch it. And we have to understand that water safety is not common sense, and understand that they don't know what they don't know. So if somebody's participating on Facebook or social media with I don't know, or with blaming the victim, blaming the parents, they don't know. And they don't think it could happen to them when it could. So just a basic baseline of 10 things people need to know, what they don't know, what is not common sense. How many people in here are familiar with the World Health Organization report on drowning in 2015? 1, 2.